For decades, the world economy pretty much ran on one big idea: globalization. We're talking open markets, supply chains that spanned the entire globe, and this constant search for efficiency. Well, that era is over. Today, we're living in a totally new world, one that's all about high-stakes deal-making, where strategy is way more important than spreadsheets. So what do we call this new reality? The term is geoeconomic fragmentation, or GEF for short. Now, this isn't just some random market trend. Oh no, it's a deliberate, policy-driven rewiring of the entire global economy. Countries are now making strategic choices, building economic partnerships based on who they trust, not just who's got the cheapest price tag. And this slide, it lays it all out, side by side. We're shifting away from that tangled, complex web of global supply chains to something different: smaller, tighter, strategic blocks. See, the old game was all about efficiency. The new game, it's all about security and alliances. This is where you get ideas like friendshoring, basically only doing business and building things with countries you consider your friends. All right, so how does this new world of deal-making actually play out? We're going to break it down into 5 key arenas: how the world is dividing up, the big defense deals, the race for tech and resources, those high-stakes handshakes, and finally, what the new rules of power really are.
First up, let's just talk about how the world is dividing. Countries are essentially picking teams, forming these economic and security blocks based on their shared interests.
And you know what's the best way to seal an alliance? A defense pact. That brings us right to the most critical area of deal-making today: security. Because in this new world, partnerships are absolutely essential for survival. A perfect example of this in action is the military relationship between the United States and India, which is getting deeper by the day. And this isn't just about selling some weapons. It's a huge strategic alignment that's completely changing the game in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, so what's actually in this deal? Let's look closer. It's not just a sales agreement. The really crucial part here is co-production. The US is helping India build things like Javelin missiles and Stryker vehicles on Indian soil. That level of technology transfer, that's a massive signal of trust. And this kind of deep tech sharing is absolutely critical, because warfare itself has changed. It's not just about kinetic stuff anymore, tanks and missiles. The real fight now is often non-kinetic. We're talking about a battle of cyber attacks, economic pressure, and disinformation. The new strategic high ground, it's digital. Which leads us right into our next major battleground, the race for tech and resources. Having the best AI and locking down the minerals you need to build advanced hardware, that's the new frontline of national security. Check this out. America's biggest shipbuilder, HII, is teaming up with an AI firm called Path Robotics. They're using autonomous welding robots to build Navy ships. And why? Because in this new era, a country's ability to build its own defense equipment is its national security. The goal is simple: build more ships, build them faster, and stay ahead in this technological arms race. And hey, this isn't just some far-off theoretical project. We're talking about a concrete target: a 15% increase in shipbuilding throughput by 2026. In the world of defense manufacturing, that is a massive, massive leap forward, and it's all being driven by a strategic tech deal. But of course, you can't build all this high-tech gear without the right raw materials, right? That's exactly why the US and India also launched a strategic mineral recovery initiative. This whole deal is about securing the supply of resources like lithium and rare earths, the stuff that's essential for literally everything from your phone to a fighter jet. Controlling resources is just as important as controlling the tech. Now, deals this big in defense and tech, they don't just happen. They're the product of some really intense, high-stakes diplomacy. We're talking about everything from public handshakes between allies to super quiet back-channel talks between adversaries. Take, for example, India elevating its relationship with Qatar to a full-on strategic partnership. When you look at where Qatar is and its role as an energy powerhouse, this deal is all about securing India's energy and food supply chains. It's a core national interest being locked in at the highest levels of government. And believe me, this is not just a friendly handshake. There's real money on the line. The goal is to double their trade to $28 billion in just 5 years. In this new world, strategic alignment and economic investment go hand in hand. Okay, so that's allies. But what about countries that don't get along? Well, in a fragmented world, even rivals have to find a way to talk. This quote from Omani diplomats is so telling. Muscat has been a key backchannel for US-Iran talks for years, proving that even when the formal relationship is broken, the art of the deal is still happening in the shadows to keep things from boiling over. And you see this focus on small, practical deals even in the middle of major conflicts. Just look at the recent Ukraine peace talks. They didn't result in some grand peace treaty. The only real thing that came out of it was a very narrow, very specific agreement on a ceasefire monitoring mechanism. The new model for diplomacy is clear. Forget the giant all-or-nothing bargains. Focus on small, functional deals that can just maybe prevent things from getting worse.
All right, so we've looked at defense, tech, and diplomacy. Let's put all the pieces together. What are the new rules of power in this era of geoeconomic fragmentation?
It really all comes back to these key features. That US-India partnership, that's a perfect example of a new geopolitical alignment. The AI shipbuilding deal, that's a strategic national policy in action. And that focus on narrow agreements, that shows the retreat from old-school multilateralism. This is geoeconomic fragmentation playing out right in front of us. And this brings us back to that huge buzzword you've probably heard, friendshoring. So here's the key point. When a company like Apple decides to move some of its iPhone production from China to India, it is not just a business decision anymore. It's a geopolitical one. They're choosing supply chain security with a strategic partner over the raw efficiency of their old global model. So, what's the bottom line here? It's this. The entire operating system of the global economy is being rewritten. The logic that ran the world for the last 30 years has been completely flipped on its head. The main goal is no longer maximum efficiency, it's maximum security. Trust, reliability, and strategic alignment, those are the new currencies of global power. And that leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? As all these powerful nations form these tight-knit blocks with their friends, what happens to the countries that aren't part of the club? In a world that runs on strategic deals, who gets left out of the deal?